Hi, welcome to the Culinary Cam YouTube channel. If you're wondering about the glasses, no contacts, no makeup, messy bun pajamas, it is because I'm going to be making buttermilk pancakes with you today. So this recipe or this process is based on lots and lots of failed pancakes, but I finally nailed it, so I'm sharing it with you. So I have to admit that for years and years, I could not make pancakes. I could make crepes, I could make popovers, I could make my own croissants, but fluffy buttermilk pancakes completely eluded me, except when we were at altitude. When we were up in Tahoe skiing, my pancakes puffed right up, and the boys always said it was the only way I could make pancakes was at altitude. Well, I took that as a challenge and decided to test all kinds of different elements, from the amount of acid I had in the form of buttermilk, to the leavening that I used. I whipped egg whites and folded that into pancakes, but really on a Sunday morning when I just want to make pancakes for the family, I want it to be easy. So I tested and tested and tested, and this is what I came up with. I'm going to share it with you today. You are going to need flour. So leavening, I use baking powder and baking soda, twice as much baking powder as baking soda. You need eggs, and I love using farm fresh eggs from friends who have hens. You need buttermilk, and then to flavor it, I just use vanilla and a little bit of sugar. And I will link all of this in the description box with the proportions and again list all the ingredients. And if you don't have buttermilk, you can make your own with just regular milk or cream and a souring agent. So I use lemon juice, or you can also use vinegar, but buttermilk at the store is usually what I use. So this is 2 cups of buttermilk, 2 eggs, and I love the farm fresh eggs. Those yolks are so brilliant orange. I have heard that the color of the yolk changes based on the diet of the chickens, and when they're super orange like that, it's because they have had a lot of protein, maybe in the form of insects or bugs, whatever it is. And take your whisk, and you're just gonna break up those yolks, put in a splash of vanilla, and this is the vanilla extract from the Casa Market. I did a taste test between the Casa Market vanilla extract and the vanilla paste with surprising results, and I will link that video in the description box below. But just about a teaspoon of vanilla extract. And as I said, you do not have to put in sugar. I just like a little bit of sweetness in my pancake, and this is 1 tablespoon of sugar. I have seen other recipes that use up to 3 tablespoons. You definitely don't need that, especially with the sweetness of the vanilla. 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 2 teaspoons of baking powder that I'm gonna sprinkle in and make sure that I whisk that well. So I have people in my household who object if they get a clump of that. And then 2 cups of all-purpose flour. You can have some clumps. You don't want to over-mix it, but you do want everything to be nicely moistened. Okay, and so once that is all whisked together, you can see it's sort of a thick batter. You're just going to let this rest. Okay, so I talked a little bit about troubleshooting the pancake. And what I came to the conclusion, I tried everything, tried different things. I took copious amounts of notes. So if I used too little flour, the pancakes were flat. If I used too much flour, they were too dense. If I used too much baking soda, they tasted like soap. If I used too much baking powder, they tasted like aluminum. So this recipe or this process is based on lots and lots of failed pancakes, but I finally nailed it, so I'm sharing it with you. My family's favorite topping for buttermilk pancakes is maple syrup. So I wanted to share this maple syrup that I got from local to me, Quail and Olive. I love that she picks products and producers that she likes their values and she likes how they work, and they're usually small batch. This is from Runamok syrup in Vermont, which is typically where I buy things that have maple syrup. And I have 2 different kinds here. This is a Sugar Maker's Cut. It's their basic maple syrup. And then this one is my absolute favorite. It's a cardamom infused maple syrup. So I will link to this company in the description box below. If you're local to me, you can pick these up at the Quail and Olive in Carmel Valley Village. So our batter has rested. We are at the stove. I have a griddle that's been buttered and greased, and now we're gonna cook our pancakes. I use 1/3 of a cup, so they're fairly small. If you want them larger, they'll just take a little bit longer to cook. So I get 3 of these little pancakes per batch. Actually, it's a little shy of the 1/3 of a cup. And you're just gonna cook these over medium heat until they set on the bottom and rise up a little bit. Flip them over and then just finish them off on that other side. They don't take that long. I have heard people talk about how to tell and how many bubbles have to pop. I really just look at it, and I would guess, I'll take a look at the time, but I feel as if it's about 2.5 minutes on the first side, then flip it over and then it's another minute and they're done. But I usually cook by sight and feel, so we'll take a look. So these are just my plain fluffy buttermilk pancakes. If you want to do any add-ins, you can do it now. You can sprinkle in some chocolate chips or blueberries before you flip them over, and then they're nicely encased in that fluffy batter. The first ones are usually a little pale until I get the temperature quite right, but you can tell that it's done, and then when it starts to puff up a little bit, that means that the underside is cooked as well. If you like this video, please click like and definitely hit that notification subscribe button so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. Okay, and that is it. Fluffy buttermilk pancakes. Super easy, just a few ingredients. And as I mentioned, we just like using a nice high quality maple syrup, breakfast or dinner.